Hey guys, what is up? Vero here with another edition of my WoW history. Now we're going to start in Cata and then go into Mist of Pandaria. Again, I'm not really going to say everything that I did in the expansions because one, I probably don't remember it, and two, it would make these videos like over an hour long, and ain't nobody got time for that. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. So where we left off in Wrath of the Lich King was at the end of the expansion. I ended up going Horde. I was a very beautiful Tauren druid. I was still playing my druid, and I was currently on Ysera. I forgot to mention what server I started on, but I started on Dalaran as Alliance, and now, or no, I started on Drendon as Alliance, and now I'm Horde. So Cata drops, and I think before it dropped, you got to go Troll if you wanted to, and I decided to go Troll, which I was really excited. I liked the Troll look better than the Tauren, not that, you know, I hate cows, moo moo, I think they're kind of awesome, but I was really excited to be a Troll, and it just sounded like a lot of fun. I ended up joining a guild through a friend, and that person that actually owned the guild, her and I are still friends today, so that's pretty awesome. There was a little bit of drama with some friends in this time period, but we're just not even going to get into that because it doesn't matter. But I was excited for the new expansion. I was excited to fully experience it because I didn't get to experience in Wrath because my computer broke right before it came out. And I was excited to level and everything, so I ended up leveling my druid, of course, and got her to max level. I didn't really do any raiding right out the gate because the guild that I was in really didn't need me, but they would bring me in for some fights if they needed an extra body, essentially. But my one problem with Cata was I was still very new to healing. You know, Wrath healing was so freaking easy, and Cata healing was a little bit more difficult, purely because people that you ran with in dungeons weren't really used to having to CC, and weren't really used to actually having to pay attention, and people would stand on fire, and then I would try and heal them, and I couldn't heal them through it, or a tank would pull, like, all of the mobs, and then we'd die, and then they'd yell at me, and I just was like, I'm done. I'm not healing unless I'm healing with a guild group. So, yeah. So that kind of ended my healing career, sort of. It didn't really end it, but it kind of put it on pause, unless, like I said, I was running with friends or a guild group. At least, like, 3 people, 3 out of the 5 I was comfortable with, but I didn't really like healing other tanks because they all sucked. And so I pretty much just went feral most of the time. So during Cata, I ended up joining another guild, which was actually ran by the same person, and I became really good friends with her because I met her through my then boyfriend at the time, and I did Dragon Soul, but they didn't need a healer, unfortunately, because their healing team was pretty much set for their 10-man, so I did Boomkin, but I was fucking horrible at Boomkin. You know, I knew Feral and I knew Resto, but they didn't really need a melee DPS, and actually at first I would run as a Death Knight. Oh, this is what happened. I remember now. So I ended up moving my druid to Alliance again on the Undermine server to play with some friends, but that ended up not working out, and I ended up not raiding with this guild that really needed the help, but for some reason wouldn't bring me in. I don't know if they thought I was like a know-it-all or something, because I wasn't. I don't know. But I ended up just kind of giving up, and then going back to Ysera again as a Horde troll, and then I started raiding as Boomkin, because they were tired of having my Death Knight, because they're like, we have too much melee! We can't do this! So I moved my Boomkin over, and I played Boomkin, and at first I was horrible because all the gear that I had been working on was pretty much LFR gear and was pretty much for Resto. Like, I didn't have anything that was for Boomkin, because back then, you know, you couldn't swap between the two like you can now in World of Draenor. So my DPS was horrible. People in the guild were complaining about it, apparently, that my DPS was really bad and that I was getting carried. And then they started feeding me gear, and I remember that next week we had raid. I think we raided like 2 or 3 days a week. We had raid, and I pulled out some amazing DPS. I did a lot of research on my class. You know, I made sure I had all this new gear. I still had a few pieces that were Resto, but, you know, they were fine for Boomkin, so it didn't really matter that much, but I actually had, like, my 4 set now. I had everything that I needed, and I did some, like, awesome DPS. It wasn't, like, the best DPS in the entire world compared to other DPS, but I wasn't last, and that's all that mattered to me. And at least if I was last, I wasn't last by, like, several thousand. But I did a really good job, I really improved, and a lot of players are actually pretty impressed with it, so that was pretty exciting. I did heal for some fights when we were progressing through Heroic, but I really enjoyed Dragon Soul because I actually had a guild to raid with. I really looked forward to logging on and raiding with my friends and just having fun, and it was great. I ended up putting together a alt raid where I actually raided on my Paladin as Holy, and that was when I kind of fell in love with another healing class, and at one point I even had a Priest because I fell in love with that class too, and it was just a really nice expansion for me. I mean, I preferred Wrath, But I really had a lot of fun in Cata. I got really tired of Dragon Soul. I don't remember how far we got. I think we got like halfway through Heroics. I want to say we got up to the ship. Like, that might have been the last one that we did. I don't think we had. We probably had more than 2 left. I don't remember. We still had a couple Heroics left when we called it quits because a lot of people just didn't want to log on anymore. It was old content, and, you know, a new expansion was coming out soon. So, whatever. During Cata, I also first started doing arenas. I did scrimmages in the past, but I mean, those were scrimmages. They weren't like real arena. The person that I was dating at the time really wanted to do arena with me, and so I decided to do arena with him. I really had a love for Battlegrounds, and I was obsessed with doing Hala back in Burning Crusade when I was leveling, like to the point where my friends would yell at me to leave. It was bad. I loved it. So they figured I would be really good at PvP, which I didn't think I was really that bad. I still had a lot to learn, but I ended up getting a really sour taste for PvP in my mouth because this person that I was dating, that I would PvP with, would spend the entire time yelling at me and belittling me the entire time that we were trying to do an arena, to the point where I couldn't really see my screen anymore because there were so many tears streaming down from my face. So it made me not want to do arenas anymore. We did them a couple times after that, and then I was just like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. This isn't fun, and I don't want to do this anymore. So I kind of stopped my arena career pretty quickly, and I kind of had a fear for doing arena, but I still did Battlegrounds with friends and stuff, and did it on alts and things, and I enjoyed at least doing that. So we're now at the end of Cata, and I was excited for Mr. Pandaria to come out, because, you know, another new expansion, yeah! I know I had a guild that I could actually probably raid with in Mr. Pandaria, so I was really excited. So at the beginning of Mr. Pandaria, I leveled my druid to max level. Another guy that I was kind of dating, like we weren't, I don't know, it's complicated, it doesn't matter. They were a hunter in our guild, and they leveled to max level, but we were still waiting for a raid leader, and our tanks, and everyone else to level to max level. And it quickly became clear that that wasn't going to happen. People weren't really leveling, people weren't really logging on, and it kind of became clear very quickly that people weren't going to be coming back. And that kind of sucked, because I was really looking forward to it, but I mean, it happens. Sometimes you get burnout, or sometimes just real life takes over, and that's okay. So what ended up happening in Mist of Pandaria, I leveled my druid to max level. I ended up meeting this person through Twitter and YouTube, and we kind of started having a thing. I don't really even know how to describe it. And they ended up actually paying for my server transfer over to Darkspear Alliance side, and they wanted to do arenas with me, and as I mentioned previously, I had a horrible taste in my mouth from a previous arena match, team, whatever, so I did not want to do it. They had to do some serious convincing, and they were just like, no, I'm not going to yell at you, it'll be fine. We did our first arena match, and I don't think we won the first one, maybe we did, first or second one, and I was like bracing myself to get yelled at for doing something wrong, or for letting them die, or for whatever, and they pretty much were just like, alright, let's do another one. And I was like, you're not going to yell at me? Why would I yell at you? I don't know, because we lost? Okay, I mean, losses happen, you know, whatever. I was just like, okay, so we kept doing arena together. I did arena with some other friends. I just completely fell in love with actually doing PvP again, because I had a less not happy experience. At this time, I wasn't raiding, I was only doing PvP, I was doing arenas. We did 3 sometimes, we did 2 sometimes. I would also was leveling alts. Mr. Pandaria in the beginning was kind of boring for me. I ended up joining a guild on my mage because they needed some DPS. It was a 25-man guild, which they were trying to do on Ysera. And I had a mage there, so I leveled her up and did some raiding with them and their 10-man and then their 25-man, but the 25-man group was horrible. There was just a lot of really bad players that were clearly getting carried, and I wasn't the best mage ever, but I was not last, and I had pretty good raid awareness. I just, you know, I just didn't really like DPSing, so I ended up talking to the raid leader and told him that, you know, I don't want to be a mage anymore, I don't want to raid. I prefer healing, and they ended up talking it out with some of their healers, and one of their healers was like, I'm totally fine with going DPS if she wants to heal. So I started to level a priest because I had a second one on that server. Don't judge me. My other one was Alliance, and I think she was on, she might have still been on Undermine at that time, but I think I moved her to Darkspear. So I had this like bank alt or whatever, and I leveled her to max level, or I was starting to level her to max level, and then the guild split up, and I was like, okay, I guess I don't need to level her anymore, and the raid leader that left told me, you know, I promised you a healing spot, do you still want to raid with us? And I was like, fuck yeah. Because I really liked leveling with their 10-man. They were awesome. I didn't like the 25-man because people are dumb. Sorry, but they are. And that's fine. Some people are better than others, and that's totally okay. And some people just don't care, and that's also okay. But I ended up leveling to max level. We had a 10-man. We were ready. TOT was out then. I can't remember the actual name of it. I don't remember the abbreviation. What the hell is that? We did some older ones because the guy that was the raid leader used to play Warlock, but he went tank. And I remember we go into one of the older raids at the time in Mist of Pandaria just to get us some gear. Because I am in greens and blues and some LFR gear. Because gear was just not dropping for me. I've always had bad gear luck. And I remember we get to the first boss and I'm like, my healing is gonna suck. And they're like, well, do you want to 3-heal this fight? I was like, yeah, let's 3-heal this fight just in case. Because we have a tank that's squishy. We have healer that is not geared at all. Even if, Disc was OP at the time, I was just like, I would feel much more comfortable if we had at least an extra healer. So we 3-heal with the other priest and a shaman, and I don't know where it came from, but my healing just oomphed, and I just did really well, and they were just like, yeah, you're not allowed to ever complain that you're a shitty healer and that your gear is bad, because we have no idea where you just pulled that out of, but it was really awesome, so yeah. But I ended up raiding with these guys for a while. They were called Potato. I have videos previously from some of our kills. It is probably one of my favorite guilds that I ever raided with before I moved to Storm Rage. They were just an awesome group of guys. It was just so much fun. I remember one time they told me, I'm glad you're raiding with us. And it's not because you're a girl, you seem to get along with us really well, and you're really good at Priest. But I just loved raiding with them. In TOT, Throne of Thunder. Throne of Thunder, we realized we just didn't necessarily possess the people that would get us a kill on the final boss, and that would take us into the next fight, the next raid, which, sometimes happens. But I liked the people that I raided with. Some people were better than others, and I mean, that's always going to happen. And we ended up joining, actually, another guild, kind of merging with them, so because Mythics were going to come out at some point. And we were starting Siege of Orgrimmar, and we raided with them, and we did 25-man, and then sometimes we did 10-man progression. I don't know, it was weird. I ended up raiding with them for a while, and I didn't mind it, but it was very clear that some people were just a lot better than other people, which I know I keep saying that, but let me just give you this. So, our raid leader at the time says, I don't know why your Warlock DPS is so much better than me. I mean, I'm following the Noxic guide exactly. Yeah, that would be why your DPS is less than his. But I ended up leaving the guild because I was just getting fed up with them not listening, not taking suggestions. They were feeding guild gear to other people. We were doing normals instead of doing what we should be doing. And I wasn't getting any gear anymore, which is fine, but it was holding me back, and I was just getting really frustrated. I would offer suggestions to one of our players, and he would get pissy at me, and just tell me, oh, no, that's not true, and I'd be like, I talked to one of the top DKs in the world, and he says you're wrong, so I think I believe him more than I believe you. Thank you very much. I ended up finding out later on that a friend through the healing forums ended up healing with them through, a pug, when you can do Siege of Orgrimmar through a pug, and they said something like, oh, I knew Suki, and they're like, oh, yeah, our healer. Bitch, I top the healing charts every time, so don't even get started with me. I pretty much shut down that other disc priest, so yeah. But, no bad blood, it's whatever, it happens. So at the end of Mist of Pandaria, my boyfriend at the time that I met through the healing forums was like, if you find a guild that you really want to raid with, I will pay for your transfer, and I will pay for your faction change. Because at the time I wasn't really working, I was just doing YouTube videos, and that was really my only source of income besides doing some freelance stuff. So I ended up joining Premeditated on Storm Rage through a friend, and that is probably one of my favorite guilds besides Potato that I've ever raided with. Dubs just cracked me up with his yelling, even if it was directed at me. There's plenty of kills on my channel with them as well, plus some Dubs raging videos. I just loved the guild. I joined their 10-man because they were going to be progressing into Mythic at some point when it officially came out. I ended up building the 25-man because the Dubs, which I mean, I'm sure he doesn't care if I say his name, ended up asking if I wanted to be the recruitment officer, and I was like, fuck yeah! So I made a guild website. I recruited enough people for us to do 25-man in like a couple days, which I think he was a little impressed with. We did 25-man heroic. We actually got pretty far. We got halfway. Eventually we killed Garrosh on 25-man heroic, and everyone got their mount, and then we started doing mythic, and we finished that. We finished the tier out. I was excited. I was ready. I was PvPing with friends on my other Disc Priest, as well as my Druid, doing 2s and 3s. I have a bunch of those videos with my Warrior and Mage friend. I just was having a blast, and I was just really enjoying myself. I had people that I could play with on both PvE and PvP that was, you know, that didn't, well, I guess Dubs yelled at me, but it didn't really bother me when he yelled at me, because, you know, if I mess up, like, you can call me out on my shit, that's fine, but if you're just yelling at me to yell at me, then you need to just not. But had a lot of fun, and I was excited for the next expansion because I actually had a guild to run with. So thanks so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I put out new videos every week. Give this video a thumbs up. The Warlords of Draenor Legion video will be up next week, so I hope to see you guys there. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.